So yeah, as I was saying, yeah, so very subject, and yeah, we've got very biased. Okay. Why do you think that comes about, Oliver? The subjectiveness with language. Okay, yeah, I'll go with that, yeah. With background, and with background, what can we be thinking about? How we would define somebody's kind of background, cultural wise? Penny, what we use?
The area that they grew up in.
Yeah, so we've got.
Like,
Oops. Oh yeah, that's a good one as well, isn't it? Yeah. 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 What else? What's another big significant? As you get older, what's another big significant definer of your language and your attitude to language? Beyond school. Oh, you got parental back. Well, you got that. Yeah, parental background. Yeah. What happens to you after you leave school? Yeah, and uni, and after uni.
Children.
Well, the workplace. Yeah, the workplace. Yeah, think of the workplace. Yeah, got to think about that. Yeah. And again, also these opinions can be sometimes that can be done on a national basis, can't it? But obviously this can also work out on an international basis about how other languages are perceived. For example, dominant language of the world is. Yeah, still is for the moment. Oh, sorry, it's not going to be Spanish that's going to take over, they say. What do they say will eventually take over the world? Chinese, isn't it? Yeah, Chinese. We're recording, Charlotte, we're recording. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And the fact that English is a sort of dominant, what do we call it? A dominant language. How might that impact on other cultures, other languages around the world? Come on, Libby.
How English, affect the language?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like mixing people's language.
It can, then it becomes, yeah.
There's a thing called one
What one? Yeah, there's Spanglish, isn't there? Do you know about Spanglish, Penny? You must know about Spanglish. Yeah, it's a thing. Do you speak Spanglish, Penny? Yeah. Does Miss Alice speak Spanglish?
My head teacher used to teach as well one.
Used for what? Yeah. You get that, and again, it's this. I think isn't it? You'll get that. You'll get the hybrid Englishnesses coming through as well. Yeah.
Like she's from
Yeah. So we've got that, and we've got that. Also, the fact that it's the dominant one, it could. Oops. It's this idea about it making it maybe it's going to make other cultures, other languages maybe feel a little bit, inferior, because I mean it's that kind of colonial hangover, isn't it? What's one of the first things you do when you colonize a country? You attack its language and you replace it with your own. Because you're saying that is the inferior language. When the Romans came over here, you had to speak your Latin. Yeah, none of this Celtic stuff. None of this Pictish. You'll speak Latin if you're talking to us. That sort of thing. Move forward a few centuries, and the language of diplomacy was what between countries. And in the Middle Ages, what was the language of diplomacy? Give you a clue. Don't say English because it wasn't.
Is it Anglo-Saxon?
No. And this went up really quite a bit until early 19th century. This was the case.
Chinese.
No, but you're on the right continent.
Korean.
No,
Indian.
no.
Japanese.
Why we all go? It's in Europe. I thought you said Italian, the first one.
Spanish.
No, not Spanish.
French.
French. French was the language of diplomacy up into the early 19th century. Yeah. Because that was the language of the ruling, and again it was a hangover over in Britain. You think about it, Norman conquest. French becomes the language of the court. Yeah. But then obviously with the British colony, it becomes it becomes that dominant language. Okay. So we've got that. Okay. And it shows you how sort of that this is about it. And so when we argue, when we're making an argument, we're saying our case, we've got to make sure we get it backed up with lots of good, solid research. That sort of idea, and looking at, and you're going to be getting some good old research papers to read, sort of thing. Some of it, I'll be cutting them down to various bits sections that I just want you to read. Which takes me to that one. I have shared it in Teams. I'll put it on flipping ePraise too. Going to the bottom. There's a great thing. I know you love your It's a free course. It's a free. You don't have to pay for it. You sign up to it, and if you go down the free route, you get 6 weeks access to it. I had a little look at it the first thing this morning, sort of thing, and some of it looked quite good. I mean, I sort of got to sort of work wee bits through it myself beside you, sort of thing. And I'll take some of the quizzes and all that sort of stuff. But it's a good backup. For what we're doing in the classroom as well, and it's another sort of another learning tool. So do have a little look at that. I'm going to be seeing Mr. Kerswell shortly when he talks about it. So the next thing then is we look at the second statement. Language and ethnicity are social and cultural constructs in constant negotiation. So I think the first thing we've got to try and understand here is what is a social and cultural construct? What do you understand by that meaning?
Something that's been taken built by society to define certain.
Now, if we think about what kind of social constructs do we have which revolve around language, and I have mentioned one before. It's a two-word phrase, for want of a better definition. Bone leg. Yeah. What's the most obvious social construct?
Going to go to work.
Sorry?
Isn't like going to go to work?
Yeah. So we can think about the workplace. And again, what we can then think about that is So if we think of things along the lines of, you know, you think about it, you know, that, you know, all those sort of professions, lawyers, medics, you know, the world of IT, you know, media and all that stuff, they all have a language which is specific to them. You know, it's terminology that you use, that, you know, have abbreviations, shorthand, sort of, you know, idiolect, again, it's coming back into that sort of thing, or sociolect because it's within the workplace sort of thing. But you've got that, and they'll use that language there. Then when they're away from it, when they're at home with their friends, whatever, that's a completely different one. So spot on with that one, Penny. Then the other big one, which is quite straightforward, is kind of obvious. Is you know, where you live. That's the other, you know, kind of classic. And that really falls into the social and cultural construct where you're living. So it can be obviously that can then relate to a variety of locations. You can think like obviously where you grow up. I think about, you know, has that been the family home for generations upon generations? Have you had to move? Then it could be that, you know, you relocate. Maybe through, you know, work, family commitments, marriage, that sort of thing. As we were saying the other day, you know, the growth of the new towns that spring up because they have to be created because of a growing population, and so they have to sort of geographically draw people into a certain specific area, but they're drawn in from a wide sort of geographical range. You've got that. Hannah.
How did that fall out?
I don't know.
Look at that.
Look at that. My goodness.
Oh,
Just blame James. I always blame James. Just
you
blame
already
James.
saw it as I saw it back.
And then obviously it could be, you know, you might potentially move country at some point in your life. Who knows? That can change things as well. And both of these, they are naturally fluid states. You know, you won't stay in the same job forever. You know, people tend to move. You know, that whole idea about migration and immigration, that sort of thing. A lot of people now don't even tend to sort of live in one area all their life. Used to. But you know, that's not so much now. There's a lot more sort of. Be interesting to see after the old sort of COVID world as well, whether we return back to that kind of concept of just staying rooted in a kind of tight geographical area for a long time. So these things, and they are, I mean, and they will constantly change. Because the workplace is changing. You know, you've seen it already, haven't you, with our government? You know, apparently with this levelling up thing, what he's wanting to do now is become a high-wage, high-skilled economy. That we've got to radically overhaul, as I say, we change this. You know, you go back to like the 1970s when I grew up, we were a heavy industry-based economy. You know, so again, you know, within a generation, things change and will continue to change, depending on the sort of political bent of the government of the day, sort of thing. Okay. Then we come into, there's various definitions, there's various, and some of these people that are cited here, like Eckert, you will get some of their sort of research papers later on to look at or parse them that are relevant to what we're doing here. But it begins to break down what we mean by when we use this term ethnolect. So here, at the top of it, it's that idea about it's a variety of languages associated with a certain ethnic group, And again, so that goes down to thinking about things like being Scottish, being Welsh, being Irish. But then you can have subsections within that. If you have different, within the Scottish one, you've got people who come from the Highlands as against Lowland Scots. Again, in Wales, you've got the difference in regions, haven't you, from north to south and West Wales. There's different accents going on across the board there, so you can look at that. But as we've noted, what I was saying to you the other day, what has begun to be noted now is this rise of sort of an urban style of language, which draws in from a lot of various cultural backgrounds and identities, that sort of thing. So you get Penny Eckhart looking at the African American and Latino varieties. And this one is where, again, you're getting English again, but being taken in that kind of hybrid route here. And again, what we begin to see here then is a bit like what we had with the new towns that was mentioned here. You get this ethnolect that comes out of this sort of melting pot, and it then doesn't sort of belong to specific regions, geographical area. It just kind of subsumes together to become this urban style of language. Okay, and then in relation to Europe and Britain, one of the big ones that did a lot of work in this was Jenny Cheshire, and she began to see that young people were combining different elements from different heritage to become the dominant language within that sort of region, that area where they lived. And again, it didn't sort of, it broke down geographical barriers, that sort of thing, and what we'd see as cultural barriers as well. So it becomes this truly kind of hybrid language. It's regarded as being quite innovative as a language, and we'll discuss that in a little minute. And it uses a whole range of things, in which, bizarrely, although it's called multi-ethnolect, it is culturally, ethnically, it's neutral because it doesn't belong to one specific designated culture. It's this hybrid, yeah? Which brings us to this man, Ali G. And you said the other day you'd never met him. You've never come across him. You might know him. He's the same man who brought you Borat. You'll be aware of Borat, I'm sure. It's the same comedian, Sacha Baron Cohen. He also starred in Les Miserables, the film version. He was the innkeeper, yeah, master of the house. Yeah. Anyway, he's a little bit of Ali G, and this became a thing, sort of early 1990s, long before you were born. Early 1990s, this became a thing in sort of cities up and down the length and breadth of Britain, and he sort of came, he satirised in a way that especially white boys, began to talk. So, and the attitudes that it begins to display. Obviously, first of all, we're getting a message from our sponsors, which will allow me to change the screen so that Clem will be able to see this when she watches the recording, as long as we don't buffer. Lovely. None of that. We're not going to look at all 30 minutes of this, by the way. So you get the idea. I want to get the screen back for the recording. How do you react? I mean, obviously you've said you've not come across good old Ali G before. How do you react to that? The way that he was talking, what does it strike you? I hate it. Yeah. This is the thing. Do you know that it used to drive me nuts. Boys would do the whole kind of with a finger thing. Oh, that was the thing. And they go up. You get white lads going up to each other, and this was their form of greeting. They go, you know, doing all that, and they talk like that. No matter where they came from. You know, they could be in Essex, they could be in Manchester, they could be in Bristol, they could be, you know, Carlisle. Boys, especially I say white urban boys, began to talk like this. It became a thing. Why do you think they did it? Why? What do you think it was they thought they were getting out of being like that? Yeah, this is very much it. They thought they were getting quite a little bit of, yeah. They thought, yeah, as you're saying, they thought they were getting a bit of street cred doing this, and it was that, you know, they began to, you know, rather than using they, you would have white lads talking about they and ting rather than thing, which you begin to think of as more of a kind of Jamaican inflection as part of their natural method of speech, their rhythm of language, that sort of thing. But you have that, you know, and the tag, you know, you get me, you know. And fill me, bruv, and all that sort of stuff. This was their natural. Yeah, but yeah, you do a little bit. You know, it's a bit like, wasn't it? You know, that whole "what's up" phase, you know, and all that sort of thing. You know, but it was. I mean, he's taken it all. It becomes ludicrous because it's so obvious when Ali G, the character that he created, is doing this. But he himself did it to sort of play about with perceptions of people, because you think, you know, the minute you hear somebody speak like that, what's your, let's get our biases out there. So speaking like that, what do you think of somebody who speaks like that, Penny?
What if people are like appropriated the speech and used it wrongly, just like they're just looking normal? I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does a wee bit, but I mean, right, if you saw lads talking like that, what would you think of them?
Yeah.
They're a bit ick.
No, they would give me the X.
They would. What do you mean by that? Well, I think I do, but I'm not sure.
The X is like, yeah, it puts you off big time, it gives you that from even looking at the
Yeah. Is it? Am I right in thinking it's ICK? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's all part of phonetics and phonics, don't you worry. Right, so why do you feel that they're really off? Why? What is it that's it's at the root of that? You're right, there you are. But for them, that is their communication, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, that is their way of talking. So what, in a way, what might be driving that then? If they're making a conscious decision, because you say, do you think, are they aware of the reaction they're getting from, let's specifically, older generation, shall we say? So why do it? Yeah, so it is, yeah. I don't know.
There's like a whole thing written down on my screen.
It has.
Probably my bag somewhere.
What you got in your bag? So, I mean, is this, do we then just look at obviously the old hippie movement where it was yes man and all that sort of stuff, hang out in you got, they went all kind of, the thing, I'm trying to think of the classic sort of 60s phrases that come out, that's when everybody was been told to sort of chill and all that sort of thing, and people were more in touch with their aura and their chakra and that kind of the whole kind of hippie movement, that kind of thing. So is it just not that it's young wanting to do something that deliberately upsets the older generation. It's about being, as you say, unconventional. Also, but at the same time, it is creating their own identity. And the beauty of this identity was that it didn't just belong to one geographical area, one particular city. You could get those white teenage lads, pop them into Manchester from London, and they could all go up and go, yeah, man, and all that kind of stuff. Do you feel me? And all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And they understood each other. Another reason was, bless you, that was a good one. Yeah. Another one, why do you think, I mean, these were predominantly urban white youths. What do you think their educational expectations were? Well, what we might kind of say is uneducated and
Didn't try in school.
yeah. So maybe they feel a little bit what? Yeah. Yeah. Me. So the fact that you've got this, excuse me, if we could come off lunch for a moment, if you please. I'm shocked, class. How dare they? Yeah, but what was noticeable, what people began to think about here was, this appears to be predominantly urban white youth. They seem to be coming from that lower working class background. They seem to be ones who have either got low educational aspirations themselves or as they will see it, the expectation from educational institutions, from teachers, etc., is you're destined to fail. So they began to feel excluded, and they thought, right, you think I'm a thick white male? I'm going to talk like a thick white male, or your perception of a thick white male. This is what they sound like. But do you know what? I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I'm going to glory in it because I know that it's going to rub you up the wrong way, but I'm part of a bigger group. You got that sense of identity. You get that sense of belonging. And so it became kind of, a sense of exclusion. I mean, the other thing that cannot be disregarded here is that get an appropriate space. Is that it is. At the same token, it is innovative. It is creative. Whether you like what it creates or not, it is creative. I mean, it's a bit like I don't know if you're the generation. I keep meaning to Google this one because I remember somebody said to me in another school, "Did you just say?" I went, "What?" Wagwan. What is that again? What's that all about? What is wagwan?
Wagwan.
What does that mean?
It's like three things.
I know, and the boys used to say it, they used to come and go, oh, so wagwan. I go, what? What is going on? What is that? What does it mean? Who says it?
Like, what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those ones.
Movement.
Yeah, is it one of these ones that's got short in abbreviations? I mean, do the letters WAG stand for anything? No?
It's like a grazing in
Yeah. I mean, again, there's that advert in there, isn't it, that says who can say that? But and it reminded me of it. I thought, oh God, yeah. Kids used to say that all the time. It seems to have died to
I didn't
death.
know it was bad to say until the advert came.
Yeah, well,
It's not fun to say.
It's just like you should, that was basically saying that advert was. It was like you shouldn't be saying.
yeah, but again, it's one of these ones that swept to schools for a while. And again, boys loved saying it, they all went about it. And again,
Still say it now.
it was a flicking of the finger thing again. That seems to have died to death, thank God. You know.
Then Laura says
People
it.
still do that.
What-
What?
What did they do?
My G.
Oh, God. Oh.
Oh, yeah, I like to touch you and they slap your head.
James got his head shaved for doing that.
Who did? Oh, there's a surprise. Yeah, not having to be caught out. But yeah, so we've got that, and so this is kind of one of the reasons it came about. And they began to detect this trend. But again, it does show you again, I say that it shows you how why English has been such a vibrant language, how it's managed to adapt and change and stay the course where others haven't. It can do these strange and seemingly bizarre things at times. And again, here we have another, idea of a kind of, this is, if we go back to one of those questions asked, so if I get the right one, we'll get this idea about language and ethnicity are social constructs. That whole thing of the Jaffrican and the analogy, the urban language that's creeped up, that is an example of how that has happened. Okay, so we've seen the LEG side of things. Here we're going to get the more sort of strictly academic side. He was one, Professor Carswell, he's one of the first that began to sort of use this term of urban, multicultural urban English. And then another guy who's really good at it is Rob Drummond, who sort of follows in his footsteps. But he was sort of kind of groundbreaker. So just a little bit from him. And again, a bit of change so that Clem can see. This one should have no adverts in front of it when I start it. No. There we are. So there we go. Get rid of that. Squish up about. Yeah. Oh, it's a bit buffering. Love that synth that's buffering. Come on, you can do it. Go. Oh, what a place to buffer and pause. He just looks so. Oh. This is one you might need to look at in your own time, sort of thing. I'm thinking here if he's going to continue to buffer. It's all part of that course that I've directed you to. It looks quite good. Come on, Prof, you can do it. Or maybe not. Give it a third go, and then if it doesn't work, I'll just say that's a bit of work for you to do at home on study period. There we go. Right, I'm going to say, rather than sort of go through this sort of and wait for it to stop buffering, if you do watch that, I'll put the link into the Teams again. I'll put it on ePraise in case I can't believe you're still looking at ePraise.
I'm sure it's like 2 years.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. They say to me that they don't use it. But so yeah, do look at that, please, because it's very good to get that academic definition of it. Okay, switch back again. Right, so and that. So, where are we now? Ah, yeah. So if you watch that, please. And then also there's a hyperlink to when white kids started speaking Jaffican. Again, that takes us into that sort of bizarre world. I say when we had this sort of hybrid. Again, you can read that now. I'm aware, so our next lesson is going to be Wednesday after this. So what I'll do is I'll set up things that I want you to do over the half-term break. Okay.
This is the last it.
Well, Wednesday's our last. We don't have one tomorrow. But Wednesday, I already said to you, we would do little bits of Kahoots and maybe set up Quizlets that you can maybe do as well. Do those. So that's what we're doing the Wednesday one, because it's the last day before, that's the day we break up a half term, and you're my last lesson. So rather than doing a heavy powered, let's read this research document on the urban dialect. I thought, we'd have a bit of fun, as we haven't had much fun this term, have we? So yeah, I'll set these things up, and I'll set you things that I want you to read over the half-term break, because that'll be a good time to sort of do that. Okay, there we go. But that'll be today's lesson, basically. I'll let you get to your bickies a little bit early there. 3 minutes early. Okay, you are very, very welcome. Okay, see ya, Hannah.
See you.
Right, stop the recording.
Thank you.